Is there a meeting password?
Are you trying to connect via WebEx, Bob?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And it's asking me for a password. I have the access code or the meeting number.
Yeah, the access code, you should just be able to click on join meeting from the
Let's
link that
see.
John Lovato sent you.
Okay. Let me, all I have is the phone number and the access code. There isn't anything really to click on.
Okay, let me see if I can email you the link.
Okay, thank you.
Bob Siqueiros, are you on the line?
Yes.
Okay, I'm having a hard time sending the email with the link on it, so did you have things that you wanted to pull up on the screen to present?
I don't, but but if Maury's available, he may want to. Yeah, everything that we have is in the packet.
Okay, so you may just have to do the meeting over the phone, unless you're able
Okay,
to get onto our website to access the meeting.
okay. Do you know if Ron is available? Is he on?
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Ron. Is Maury online? No.
You want me to call him?
Yeah. I tried calling him yesterday to remind him.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is the hearing officer. Are we waiting for someone to get on? They can't hear me.
I was able to hear you, sir.
I'm not sure if we are waiting for anybody. I think we're item number 2 on the agenda, and we're still waiting for our engineer to sign up.
I can't sign up. I don't know how to get on.
There you go. I can't either, but obviously you're on by phone.
I'm on by phone, but I try to get it on WebEx, but I can't figure it out.
I can't either. I couldn't get past. I did the access code, but they asked for a password. And
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I didn't have to use a password. I just clicked the link and then went, access through the browser.
Yeah, where's the link? I couldn't find the link. I figured that's where it was, but I never could find the link.
I couldn't find it either.
You want me to forward it to you?
Yeah.
Is it? I may be looking at the wrong thing, but I couldn't. Yeah, if you could forward it to me too, Ron. I just don't have the link.
Yeah, send it to me too.
There also should be a link on the county website. If you go to the calendar and click on the events for this meeting, you can find a button that says Join Online.
The calendar. Ah, okay.
Well, I click on that and I still don't get the link to return to calendar. Huh.
At the very top of the county website, click on the Join WebEx Meetings Here button right there. Join WebEx Meetings Here.
I see, yeah.
That's what it says.
Okay.
And when you click on that, scroll down and you'll see today's date and this meeting here for 3 p.m. Go ahead and click on that. And about halfway down the screen is Join Online Here.
I still don't see it.
Yeah, I'm launching on now.
What?
Yeah, you click on that join meeting. It's in red, underlined to the right.
Right, yeah, I did that. Okay. Feel stupid, but that's okay.
Maury, I can send my 10-year-old grandson over to help you.
Yeah, you probably need to. Oh, here it is. I'm getting there. Ah, there it is. I'm not
I'm
as
an
stupid
analog
as I
man.
think I am. Oh, there it is.
He's the
cool.
one that helped. He's the one that helped me.
I bet so.
I had to think like a 10-year-old to do it. No, thank you for your help. I mean that.
I still don't
really-
see it, but that's okay. Yeah.
So do we have everybody?
Oh, there it is.
On
No, go ahead.
I'm-
I'm good.
I'm at 95 to set it up to the room, 95%. So I should be visible here shortly. Join as a guest. There we go. I guess I'm on. Here, yeah, it says hearing officer meeting. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Can you guys see me, or is it just audio?
Oh, it's giving me the test join meeting. Here we go.
Hey, Maury.
Let's see, everybody. We see you, Ron.
Okay.
Bob,
We're good.
you're gonna have to disconnect from your phone since you're on computer because we're getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, I'm seeing 3 people on my screen. This is a hearing officer. So it appears to me that everybody from the applicant is on the call at this point. And so I'm going to start the meeting. This is the monthly meeting of the Sustainable Land Development Code hearing officer. My name is Richard Virtue, and I'm the hearing officer. We have 3 items on the published agenda for today. Are there any changes to that?
Hearing Officer Virtue, there are no changes, but I just wanted to mention for any of the public that's on the call or on the WebEx that the first case, the jury charade variance, has been tabled.
Okay, so with that, we will turn to agenda item number 2, which is case number 21-5071, Sierra Vista subdivision variance. Ron Sebesta Realty, profit sharing plan applicant, Robert Siqueiros agent, requesting a variance of chapter 7.11.6.2 intersections and roundabouts of the Sustainable Land Development Code to allow 2 existing roadways to be less than the required minimum of 200 feet for a proposed 24-lot subdivision. Property is within residential estate, within the residential estate zoning district. It is located within the vicinity of Camino La Tierra, within Commission District 2. With that, we will turn to the staff report.
Thank you, Hearing Officer Virtue. Summary. The current plat entitled Land Division for Love Ranch Partners, LLC, of 80.71 total acres was created in November 6, 2006. The land division created 4 parcels which are labeled Tract A, 20.38 acres, Tract B, 20.12 acres, Tract C, 20.20 acres, and Tract D, 20 acres, for the combined total of 80.71 acres. The property is accessed directly off South Wildflower Road, which is a 24-foot width roadway that bisects the property. There's a looped internal road network that serves the 4 existing lots. 2 of the 20-acre lots are accessed off East Camino del Cielo, and the other 2 20-acre lots are accessed off West Camino del Cielo. The applicant wishes to create a 24-lot subdivision within the 4 20-acre lots. However, the access points between the east and west Camino de Cielo at their intersection with South Wildflower do not meet separation standards of 200 feet. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a variance. The applicant states currently there is a separation issue between offset intersections of West Camino de Cielo and East Camino de Cielo. Section 7.11 6.2 requires the offset between the intersections shall be less than 200 feet. Shall be no less than 200 feet. The existing offset is approximately 150 feet from the center line of the two road alignments. The applicant further states the volumes of traffic at these two intersections are so low that the conflict in movements will be minimal. The volume of traffic on West Wildflower is approximately 25 vehicles per hour, while East and West Camino de Cielo will approximately be 6 to 8 vehicles per hour respectively. Santa Fe County staff has conducted a site inspection on this property. It has been confirmed by staff that the proposed offset is 150 feet. Currently, there are 4 20-acre lots which are now being subdivided into a 24-lot subdivision, which will increase the amount of traffic at this intersection and area. Currently, there are other lots that utilize South Wildflower, and these intersecting roads are and could potentially become a hazard. The applicant has addressed the variance criteria, and staff has responded as contained in the memo. Recommendation. Chapter 7.1162 of the Sustainable Land Development Code states, offset intersections less than 200 feet apart shall not be permitted. Chapter 7, Section 7.11.6.7 states, curvature in the intersection design alignment shall be no less than the stopping distance required for design speed of a road as per AASHTO standards. The geometry of intersections shall be consistent with the design speed of the road in AASHTO standards. The American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials Guidelines for separation requires 165-foot sight distance for intersections for speeds of 35 miles an hour. The intersections do not meet AASHTO standards for the required separation. There are 4 20-acre lots which are now being subdivided into 24-lot subdivisions, which will increase the amount of traffic within the intersection. Currently, there are other lots that utilize these roads, and this could potentially become a hazard to the offset intersection. A subdivision is a discretionary approval, and the ability to meet all design standards is criteria for the approval. There is no terrain or physical constraints that prohibit the standards from being met. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the variance request and requires the applicant provide road design plans and a grading and drainage plan to meet code requirements with the preliminary plat submittal. Thank you, hearing officer, and I stand for any questions.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lovato, I do have a question for you. You referred in your report to section 7.11.6.2, which establishes the offset of 200 feet, at least 200 feet. Do you happen to know the basis for the 200 feet requirement?
Hearing officer Virtue, I believe that is based off the stopping distance at any given intersection.
Based upon the stopping distance, at what rate of speed?
At 35 miles an hour.
That's based upon then the existing speed limit in that area?
Correct, and that is what they have labeled the speed limit to be. Upon staff's inspection, there was no confirmed speed signs posted in this area, which is also very concerning because of the intersection offset.
Then you go on to cite the Association of State Highway Transportation Officials guidelines as being 165 feet at 35 miles per hour. How does that relate to the 200-foot requirement in the code?
So in our code, based off those guidelines, you can reduce the distance off the AASHTO standards, and that's what the AASHTO standards are for the state manual.
Are you telling me the 200 feet?
165 feet are the AASHTO standards.
In the state manual.
Correct.
And what's the basis for the increase again? I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
It is the stopping distance with the intersections on speed.
Guess what I'm not understanding is that the 165 feet is based upon the 35 mile per hour speed limit, or a 35 mile per hour speed limit, but yet the code says 200. I'm trying to understand the difference, and you're telling me it's based upon miles per hour, but as I read your report, based upon the 35 miles per hour, which is the speed limit in the area, it would be 165 feet instead of 200.
Correct. The 200 feet is the subdivision standard. Because this is coming in for a 24-lot subdivision, it needs to meet those standards of 200 feet. We can further reduce that to 165 feet based off the recommendation of the code to follow along the guidelines of the state manual. We try to work with the individuals as we get them as needed for that adjustment, but being that this is 150 feet, it still does not meet the 165 feet. Therefore, the variance request is necessary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Those are all the questions I have for you right now. With that, we'll turn to the applicant and the applicant's presentation. And I would like at this point to have the applicant and all of those who will speak on behalf of the applicant, please identify yourself for the record by name and address, and then we will swear you in. We'll start with the applicant, Mr. Sebesta.
Okay, Ron Sebesta. My address is 3420 Calle Viejo, Santa Fe.
Okay, and do we have anybody else who is going to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I think Mr. Siqueiros appears to be muted. Bob, can you unmute yourself on the computer?
Does everybody have the same problem I'm having listening? I have a bad echo. Is that just my machine?
I can hear you okay, Maury.
Yeah, we're hearing Mr. Maury. It's Mr. Siqueiros. I see his mouth moving on my screen, but I can't hear him. So, are either one or both of you gentlemen going to testify on behalf of the applicant today? Mr. Maury?
Yes, I will. If there's questions that need to be answered, I'll answer.
Okay, then we'll swear you in. And then Mr. Siqueiros, are you going to testify, including answering questions? We still can't hear you.
There should be a button on the bottom left-hand side of your screen with the little microphone that says unmute. If you just click on that, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Mr. Siqueiros, if you look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen, there should be an icon there that allows you to unmute yourself.
Maybe your computer's muted. Turn your volume up. While he's working on that, can we start with Mr. Walker?
Sure, let's swear you all in, though. We need to have I have Mr. Maury is up here. We need to have him identify himself by name and address. So, Mr. Maury, can you identify yourself?
Yes, I'm Maury Walker, a professional engineer with Walker Engineering.
Okay.
905 Camino Sierra Vista, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay, I apologize. It had Maury at the bottom of my screen. I got your first and last names confused. So let's have Mr. Walker and Mr. Sebesta sworn at this time.
Okay, is this working? Yes. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth?
Yes.
Yes, I
And
do.
before you speak, please state that you're aware you're under oath.
I'm aware I'm under oath.
Where I'm under oath.
Please
Yes.
proceed. Mr. Sebesta, were you going to make the initial presentation?
Well, I was hoping that Bob would. I'll do my best. So we have applied for this what we call the Sierra Vista subdivision, 24 lot subdivision, including 2 affordable housing units. I guess I was under the impression that we had staff recommendation. We have gone through our original submittal, I believe, was back in January of this year. I think we've gone through 4, I'm not sure the proper term, but case officers. And so for the last, I don't know, some time I was under the impression that we did have the staff, recommendation on this. This is just like, totally new to me, not, showing up here and not having the staff recommendation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, wasted our time coming. But, I'm sorry? Are we good? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please proceed.
Okay. So, we, and Maury will, I think Maury can address this better than I can as far as a standpoint from safety. It was Maury's recommendation, and I believe he will testify to this, that we thought from a safety standpoint, it was better to leave the intersections. And keep in mind, the county did approve the offset of the intersections the way they are right now back in 2006. And I totally understand that, laws have changed and, code has changed since then. But these 4 lots with the intersections the way they are right now with the offset were approved back then. I understand the increase in traffic, but it sounds like we're talking about a 15-foot difference between the 165 and the 150 foot that we presently have. I think that Maury can probably address the issue from the standpoint of safety and visibility, from the different intersections. And, there were some other issues there that the grades on the intersections were not in compliance. I think they were 7%. The code requires 5%. And rather than asking for a variance on the other intersections for the 7%, we just agreed that we would go ahead and change those sections of road and bring them in compliance to the 5%. I don't know, Maury, if I'm missing something, maybe you should jump in.
I'll jump in. The reason there's a little bit, I think there's a little bit of conflict here as far as the reason why we have an issue with the distance and offset. It's a little bit of the stop and sight distance, but it's also distance so that you wouldn't have conflict in movements. And that's what the issue is that when you have 2 intersections, main roadway intersections that are offset, that they're too close to each other, but offset, you have a lot of conflict in movements. And in this case, in the subdivision itself, we have very little traffic. And so the conflicts between the movements are what is very minimal. I mean, we're talking about a nice big looping road on one side, 12 lots on one side, 12 lots on the other side. And there's, maybe 6 cars an hour been using those intersections. So the conflict with the movement is what the big issue is. And it's not a main road. It's more of a large driveway, really, to tell you the truth, with the amount of traffic we have here. The stop and sight distance is an issue, but it's not as much because we do have we can see down the road pretty well. So the cars that are coming down the road have plenty of movement. But the issue is, go ahead.
I think we're getting your feedback.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm trying to get, I don't know
feedback
what's wrong
from
with my
somebody.
computer,
Somebody
but it
needs
just
to
went
mute
blank and I
themselves.
can't see the,
Yeah, or turn off. Yeah,
I don't
have my
know.
YouTube
I tried
on.
logging back in, but they won't let me in.
Mr. Siqueiros
Am I
seems
still
to
putting
be
the feedback
unmuted
on?
now.
Here,
Hello?
we hear you, Bob.
Hello?
So the bottom line is that, we have the stop and sight distance. We have enough
We're
vision
still getting some
between the two
feedback. I think
intersections.
Mr. Siqueiros needs to mute himself again.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Siqueiros, if you could mute, now that you know how to operate the mute button, let's mute yourself for now, then we'll unmute you or have you unmute yourself when it's your turn. You could do that.
You good, Bob? So the two issues are the sight distance. We have plenty of sight distance. You can see and the two intersections actually can see each other pretty well. So the conflict in movement is very minimal at this area, and that's why as a professional engineer, I would say, yeah, this is a safe intersection just because the amount of traffic is so minimal, and there's plenty of sight distance that will work as designed. I'm open for any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll turn to Mr. Siqueiros now. If he is proposing to testify, would you unmute yourself, Mr. Siqueiros, and then we'll have you identify yourself and swear you in?
Thank you. I apologize for the feedback. I don't know if you still heard it or not. Anyway, my name is Robert Siqueiros, 207 Car Roadway, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87501.
Mr. Siqueiros, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
You can proceed, Mr. Siqueiros.
Thank you. So I apologize, but I did hear most of the testimony and introduction by Ron Sebesta, and the engineer, Maury Walker, his input also. I really don't have anything to add at this point.
Okay. I'll just ask if the applicant or either one of you or applicant or Mr. Walker has anything to add at this point as part of your presentation. And seeing no indication of further testimony, then I'm going to close the applicant's presentation portion of the hearing. And I'm going to ask if there is anybody present that wishes to testify in favor of the application. This is testimony in favor of the application. Okay, hearing none, I will now ask if there's anybody present on the call who wishes to testify in opposition to the application. Okay, hearing none, I will close the public testimony portion of the hearing and just ask if the staff has a response to any of the testimony that's been presented.
Hearing Officer Virtue, just going to respond to one of the comments Mr. Maury Walker made, or Mr. Siqueiros. I'm not too sure who made the comment, but when this subdivision was approved, it was approved for 4 lots. Now it has that potential of 24 lots is what their application has come in with, which increases the traffic in addition to the surrounding lots. In terms of the stopping distance, that is 200 feet. Per the AASHTO standards of separation between intersections, it's 165 feet. We thought we could work with that, but that was not met. It's 150 feet is what they have listed and what they have documented, and that is why staff has recommended denial of the request.
Okay, thank you for that. Just so I'm clear, the code provides for 200 feet, but the state guideline provides for 165 feet. Is that correct?
Hearing Officer Virtue, there are actually 2 different standards. The 200 feet is a stopping sight distance. That's what it takes to stop a vehicle at 35 miles an hour, 200 feet.
Right.
The other one, 165, is just a separation of intersections. They're two different codes. We felt the 165 is enough for the volume of that road. That's why we were going with a 165-foot separation.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay. Also, we wanted to clarify that the 4 lots, according to ITE trip generation, would generate 40 trips for the 4 lots. It's 10 trips per residence. When you increase it to a 24-lot subdivision, it's now 240 trips. So it will increase the traffic substantially.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that trips per day?
Per day, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
All right.
Is there room for one more comment from our side?
Yes, I'll allow the applicant to reply to what the staff has said, if that's what you're intending to do.
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
So our traffic impact study was not based on 4 lots. Our traffic impact study was based on either 24 or 32 lots. And so we have taken into consideration the increase in traffic volume on that road. And that was provided by Mr. Walker.
Okay, thank you for that. I believe that study is in the packet I received.
Right.
So we have some evidence in the record on that. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'm going to declare the hearing closed, and I will make a written recommendation within 15 business days of today. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next item on the agenda is case number 21-5050, conditional use permit application of High Desert Self-Storage. High Desert Self-Storage LLC applicant, James and Jennifer Goulet, owners. Requests approval of a conditional use permit to allow a self-storage facility on 2.63 acres. The facility will include 8 storage structures with approximately 160 individual storage units totaling 22,500 square feet. The property is located within the El Valle de Arroyo Seco Highway Corridor District overlay and is zoned commercial neighborhood. The site is located near US 84-285 in Commission District 1. With that, we'll turn to the staff report.
Thank you, Hearing Officer Virtue. Currently, the 2.63 acre parcel is vacant, and the applicants are requesting to construct 8 storage structures with approximately 160 individual storage units, totaling 22,500 square feet. The applicant's proposal will include new access driveway, access gate, storage buildings, signage, boundary fence, water catchment system, water storage cistern, landscaping, and lighting needed to support a self-storage facility. The facility will be unmanned and will only be for self-storage. Review. County Building and Development Services reviewed the application for compliance with the following requirements of the SLDC. Elvira de Arroyo Seco Highway Corridor District Overlay, sustainable design standards, access, fire protection, landscaping and buffering, fences and walls, lighting, signage, road design standards, utilities, water, wastewater, and water conservation, landscaping and buffering, terrain management, flood prevention and flood control, solid waste. The following agencies reviewed this project as follows. Agency review, NMED, New Mexico Environment Department. No comments or concerns. County Fire Marshal, conditional approval. County Utilities, approval. And New Mexico Department of Transportation, conditional approval. The applicants have addressed the conditional use approval criteria. The SLD section 4.9.6.5 approval criteria establishes the approval criteria for conditional use permits. Staff has determined that the applicant's proposed use satisfies the criteria as contained in this memo. Recommendation. Staff has determined that the proposed storage facility complies with the SLDC and recommends that a conditional use permit of Chapter 9, Section 9.9.5 use table, which establishes the criteria displayed as a conditional use permit and allows this use subject to the following conditions. And Hearing Officer Virtue, can I enter those conditions into the record?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, and I stand for any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions at this time. We will now turn to the applicant's presentation, and I would ask the applicant and anyone who wishes to speak or testify on behalf of the applicant to identify yourself for the record, and we will swear you in.
Thank you, Hearing Officer Virtue. My name is James Gouroulet. My address is 1857-2 US 84-285 Espanola, New Mexico 87532. And I believe I'm the only one joining you today from my side.
Mr. Gouroulet, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give us the whole truth?
Yes, I understand. I'm under oath.
Thank you.
Please proceed, Mr. Gouroulet.
Hearing Officer Virtue, I've prepared a short presentation. If I can share my screen, I can kind of walk through the development. Would that be acceptable?
That would be fine.
Is my screen visible? Can you guys hear me okay? Is my screen visible?
Yes, I can see it.
Beautiful. Okay, so I wanted to just provide a little background, talk about the business, give an overview of the development, and then go over a couple of the design details, just to support the review that Mr. John Lovato provided. So, as we've already discussed, it's located at 1857-2 US Highway 84-85. It's right off of the East Frontage Road. It's vacant property. My wife Jennifer and I are proposing to develop a storage facility. It's approximately 2.6 acres, and we're hoping to develop approximately 160 storage units. We've been working with the county and other departments like DOT and the fire marshal's office to make sure that the design is up to the SLDC code requirements and DOT design requirements. The vision we have for the business is simply a storage facility and nothing else. We wouldn't have any other businesses. Typical storage business like this would have operations from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. It would be indoor for storage only. We would not allow folks to customers to store flammables or explosives or chemicals and those kinds of things that would cause harm to the community. And then we would not have a manager's quarter, so there's no need for any kind of building besides the storage facility itself. At a high level, this is the property. The northern boundary is shared with residential property or traditional use community property, I think they call it. So that will require screening as well as a part of the east, north side of the east boundary will need screening as well. And then there's also an existing fence on the west side that we wouldn't touch. And so there's some screening and some fencing, a drainage pond, 8 buildings, access road, signage, and some other landscaping and other details. So let me try to go into some of those details. So as I said, 8 storage structures. The buildings I've designed to are 30-foot wide. They range in length from 50 feet to 120. Currently, the largest one that we've had on is 110. The height will not exceed 17 feet. Currently, I believe I found a vendor that would allow me to stay under 13 feet, but I wanted to make sure there's a little bit of space just in case I can't find a vendor when the time comes to purchase these facilities, these structures. The maximum square footage is limited by the lot coverage, which is the overlay district requirement of 20%. So it's less than 20%. I think I'm capping, the cap is 22,500. It's a little higher than that, but that's the number I've stayed under. And we've had to make some reductions in the lengths and overall square footage of the facility so we can reload some power poles and make sure that we're not passing power over the top of the buildings. Color scheme, we're kind of going with neutral colors, as you see there on the right. There's probably some tads and some greens on the outside, and just so it's not an eyesore to the community. I should note that this presentation is very much very similar to the one I proposed at the neighborhood hearing meeting when at the beginning of this process that I did. So I tried to stay consistent with what I proposed to the neighbors. Property access. There's 2 roads, the County Road 86 and then the East Frontage Road. I was able to work with the NMDOT to obtain approval for commercial business access. I worked with them to make sure I've met the requirements of the SAM, and that was approved with conditions as Mr. Lovato mentioned. All roads are 20 feet wide and have a minimum turning radius of 28.5 foot. Inner turning radius. The road will have it'll be compacted with base course and gravel, and it'll also be equipped with a Knox box for emergency access. As far as screening goes, the existing Latia fence to the west will not be touched. It's a minimum of 6 feet, and in some areas we won't touch that fence. We'll pick up there on the north side of the west boundary, and we'll start with a stain treated wood panel fence, and the north boundary will be a wood panel fence. And then again, the north side of the east boundary will be mostly wood panel fence. And then there's a transition there, as you can see on the top right diagram. And then it transitions to chain link, and we'll use 6-foot chain link fence with 3 strands of barbed wire above it. So it'll be around 7 feet tall or so. The stain treated wood fence will be around 8 feet tall is what we're proposing right now. But given the market conditions and the price of materials, we've kind of moved around a little bit on that one, but it will meet screening requirements to make sure that we're providing the right screening for the neighbors. Landscaping, I worked with Newman's to identify drought tolerant and cold tolerant vegetation for the development, and so we proposed the examples that are shown there, and I'll be sure to make sure they meet all of the height and thickness and maturity requirements. And I've looked closely at the water requirements for this so that I could develop a water budget for landscaping and so that I can properly size the cistern. So I did that, and that's also provided in the report. The landscaping will be supported with below ground irrigation, and then our intention is to use the rainwater catchment system to supply water to the vegetation. Lighting analysis was performed for the facility. We used fully shielded lights. Most of the lights are mounted at a height of 8.5 feet along the sides of the buildings. Where it could be accommodated, we went up to 12 feet. All of the light requirements were met in the SLDC sections, and there will be, aside from the building mounted lighting, there's a single pole mounted freestanding light near the gate access, and then of course we'll also have internally lit signs, but that doesn't contribute to lighting the facility or anything like that. So the signage, we have 2 signs as part of the design right now. We have one freestanding sign near the entrance, as you can see there in blue. We're going to go with a 4 foot by 8 foot, kind of a standard size. It won't exceed a 7 foot in height, and it'll be, set back so that 7 feet is acceptable. And then the other sign will be mounted on the building, again 4 foot by 8 foot, and it won't exceed a maximum height of 16 feet. That'll be a single-sided. On the right's an example of what we'd expect a sign to look like. Just a business logo and some text that describes it's a storage building and some contact information. Parking, we've included 6 parking spaces. That's consistent with our traffic analysis report study that we conducted. We did a trip generator and determined that based on the square footage and the number of storage units, peak hour traffic shouldn't exceed 6 vehicles. So we went ahead and made sure there was 6 off-road parking spaces, and this is good in case of an emergency. The aisleways would be open so emergency vehicles can get through. The rainwater catchment pond. This is one of the main changes since I met with the neighborhood meeting. We used to have 2 ponds. Now we have 1 big pond, and this was largely due to working with NMDOT and going through the process of refining the drainage and grading plan. And so it's a real wide, shallow pond so that we can have a quick absorption, and it's not just standing water. It's designed for a 100-year storm, and that's what we're looking like now. We also have a rainwater cistern, as I mentioned earlier. It's located there between the buildings, and it'll support the vegetation that's on the landscaping near the entrance. And so we used a bounding estimate for the water cistern. The vegetation is, with mature vegetation, shouldn't exceed. They were needing roughly 1,900 gallons per month, and so we'll provide a 2,000 gallon tank to make sure that we can store a month's worth of water. And that's all I really have, and just a picture of the property as it sits today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gurley. The clarity and thoroughness of your presentation is appreciated. I don't have any questions for you, at least at this point. With that, I will ask if there are any persons present on the call who wish to speak in support or favor of the application? Okay, hearing none.
Sir,
Yes.
hearing officer Virtue.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if when it would be appropriate, but I did have. I was informed that Miss Mills, who is the adjacent neighbor to the north with the largest boundary, did send a letter of support.
That letter was in the packet I received, and it is in the record of the case. So
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll ask if there's anybody present on the call who desires to speak in opposition to the application or generally speak to the application without taking a position. Hearing none, I'll ask if the staff has any response to the applicant's presentation. Right, thank you. With that, I will close this hearing and I will make a written recommendation on the application within 15 business days of today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, I will declare that if there is nothing further, I will declare this hearing closed. Thank you.